Assassin's Creed, a series that pretty much got me into gaming. As a kid, I remember falling in love with this franchise. It innovated in ways I could never believe. From its smartly designed linear world built specifically for fluid parkour movements, to its densely populated and compact cities optimized to hide in plain sight. And to top it all off, a fascinating and unique lore with this mysterious ancient civilization called the ones who came before. Huh, came. And powerful devices called the Pieces of Eden used to study the world and send messages through time. The Animus, a machine to relive the memories of your ancestors, serving as a bridge to connect the past to the present. The Assassins and the Templars, age-old organizations that have been at war with each other for thousands of years. The fact that this franchise takes all these vastly different concepts and merges them together to construct such a well-rounded narrative that culminates and connects all the dots perfectly. Well, at least that is the case for the first 4 games in the franchise. What is this franchise now? A mediocre, shallow, watered down mess. Hello guys, this video is going to be vastly different to the ones I've done before. In this video, I'll be dissecting what exactly went so horribly wrong with this once great franchise. Now before I get further into this video roasting the absolute shit out of the new RPG games, I'd highly suggest giving this video a like and please subscribe, as this sort of video takes effort to make, from shitloads of script writing, research and editing. Oh god, so much editing. Also, I'd like to say, if you're offended with my opinions on this franchise, please refrain from spreading hate in the comments. I get it if you don't agree with my takes, but let's not be cowardly unemployed incels hiding behind their Andrew Tate profile picture, probably living down their mom's basement. Anyway, sit back and relax and let's get right into it. The inception of Assassin's Creed roots all the way back in the early 2000s, when a man named Patrice Désilets came up with the original concept and the fundamentals of the Assassin's Creed franchise. The original vision of Assassin's Creed was to be a continuous ongoing narrative that carries on for 5 to 6 games, setting up all the plot threads and wrapping up Desmond's overall journey in the modern day by the end. Patrice Désilets and his team set up specific guidelines and commandments that future AC games must follow, 10 commandments to be exact. The development of AC1 began all the way back in 2004, and in 2007 we witnessed the birth of this series. This super unique and interesting game with such a cool setting, taking us back in history to the Third Crusade. Playing as this mystic hooded figure called an assassin, having these really tight dense cities to climb any wall and jump across buildings, using environmental and social stealth to your advantage whilst hiding from your pursuers. It had such a distinct tone from all the games that came before it. It clearly was an innovation. Most people these days don't really see the importance and appeal of AC1 and deem it outdated and repetitive, but looking back, this game still slaps. The mechanics, the world and narrative all go hand in hand so perfectly together. This game is still, to this day for me, the most Assassin's Creed game ever, as it completely encapsulates what it means to be an assassin. From uncovering information about your target, tracking them down, to finding numerous ways to take down your target, whether it be through stealth or combat. This game also explored the creed and its philosophy in a lot of depth, which was something I truly adored and found really interesting. Surely it had flaws, but it built a solid foundation for what's to come. And like that, the ship had sailed. The HD Trilogy only expanded to the ideas and concepts of the first game, ensuring much better improved controls and mechanics, and improved social stealth where we can blend in with any crowd and not just with a bunch of monks. An entire notoriety system built to ensure for you to not only stay incognito but also not to compromise the Brotherhood, as there are grave consequences to that, such as the Den Defense minigame, which I would say is not really a fan favorite but I liked it. And of course guards detecting you on sight and attacking you. This system clearly wasn't implemented for no reason, as it fit well with the narrative and the world they were crafting to include it. Unlike these days, with Ubisoft adding unnecessary systems to make the game look really smartly designed and complex, while it's really quite the opposite and overall quite a ridiculed mess. It added a variety of side missions and assassination contracts to keep the player engaged. And don't think these missions were unimportant and added for no reason, as they clearly helped Ezio in retaking Rome from the Templars and building his influence that really added to the overall progression in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. We also had fully fledged Assassin Tomb levels that fully offered the extent of a well-designed parkour system to ensure fluid movements. I mean, they literally also had straight up parkour puzzles to really push and challenge the player to get better at it. Also new weaponry and cosmetics that were not locked behind a fucking paywall. It was completely free to purchase with in-game money. And lastly, it gave us a character that we pretty much got to see grow belly up from a rash teenager to an experienced and knowledgeable master assassin. We witnessed Ezio's journey into the Assassin's Brotherhood, his development and all the lessons he learns throughout these games through Altair, his codex pages and his memory seals. And how much all this adds to the overarching arc of Assassin's Creed and pushes the story forward and culminates beautifully in Revelations, to what I describe as having one of the best endings in fiction ever. The franchise knew what it was in this trilogy and clearly carved out a name for itself. What can I say? They clearly knew what they were doing. Assassin's Creed 3 was the game to wrap it all up. Desmond's entire journey was building to this point and it finally concluded with a highly controversial ending. Up until this point, the series had a direction. It knew where it was going and it finally reached there. But from here on out, the franchise entered very murky waters. Patrice Désilets was long gone by that point after setting up and directing the first 3 games in the franchise. So there was no visionary left to guide them on what to do. The logical decision should have been to end the franchise right there. But of course, it's Ubisoft, and with any big corporation, they would continue to milk this franchise dry until it reaps them of all its rewards. So, Ubisoft started to experiment with new ideas and concepts, which honestly wasn't bad. They released Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag in 2013, which was quite a departure from what the series was known for. Even though Black Flag was heavily marketed to be a pirate game, it still kept its roots intact, with telling a deeply personal narrative of Edward and how he evolves to join the Assassins by the end. It feels satisfying, and like the previous games, namely AC1, Revelations and parts of AC3, this game also delves into the creed and critiques it in such a way to make us question whether assassins are truly the morally correct side. I think Black Flag was a game that really started to change the way Ubisoft viewed this series, as they start to realize that if they start making their games with a bigger focus on the historical setting rather than the Assassin and Templar conflict, they are likely to gain a much bigger audience of casual players, which Black Flag did prove right at the time, as it sold much more than all the previous games combined. But the decision to completely revamp the series didn't come until the year after. "2014 was the year Assassin's Creed had reached a crossroads, with the release of Assassin's Creed Unity, which received lots of backlash and hate during its launch. The general consensus was that the game was unplayable and a broken mess during launch. The criticism was crystal clear that this game needed more time, even though it had over 4 years, as this game had been in development since 2010, right after Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is mental. You could tell it was rushed because Ubisoft needed to release something big with the next-gen consoles, to capitalize on that next-gen hype and excitement. The thing is, Unity could have been a solid entry to the franchise if the bugs were all ironed out and some story details were more polished and fleshed out. From the gameplay perspective, the game pretty much fulfilled the assassin fantasy, with having massive dense crowds to blend in, open black box missions with lots of opportunities to assassinate your targets, a smooth and slick parkour system that with a bit of tweaking would have been the best in the series. On top of that, it also had a fun co-op mode where you could carry out these assassinations with your mates. It had the makings of the perfect next-gen Assassin's Creed game, yet the execution was just missing on Ubisoft's part. And instead of learning from their mistakes and giving their games plenty of ample development time, guess what conclusion they landed on? Oh, assassins just aren't cool anymore. These games won't sell with assassins and templars on them. Guess we completely have to revamp the series into a pseudo RPG to capitalize on the success of games like The Witcher 3 or Horizon Zero Dawn. We'll just follow modern trends, guys. Instead of actually innovating and making something unique and special, we'll just make a mediocre, shallow copy of an already successful game. Perfect idea. Even though after this game we had Assassin's Creed Syndicate in 2015, which was still very similar to Unity and still very much an Assassin's Creed game, you gotta remember, there are different teams working on different Assassin's Creed projects. Hence, Ubisoft was able to release Assassin's Creed annually every year, which in my opinion is just a wrong strategy. As you can tell, none of the teams cooperate or listen to each other while making these games, as the newer games feel more disconnected than ever. And what's worse is that by the time the reviews and criticisms of the previous games are released, the current game is almost 50 to 60% done, which was the case with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Hence, instead of scrapping it, they got it out the way to prevent them from losing out on big money. But after this, the series changed for the worst. For the first time in 8 years, Assassin's Creed took a year off in 2016. This gave OG fans like me a lot of hope, as we were really burnt out from Assassin's Creed. I mean, who wouldn't if you constantly release AC games annually like COD or FIFA? We were ready to see something new with Assassin's Creed. And yeah, I have to admit, us OG fans are partly to blame for this complete 180 transition into an RPG. As admittingly, yes, the old school games were getting a bit stale, and with the colossal failure of Unity, we could do with anything else. So after a whole year of speculating and rumors, we finally got to see Assassin's Creed Origins. This was the first time Assassin's Creed delved its foot into the RPG genre, with elements like gears and weapons, leveling, side quests, and an introduction to a more hitbox-based combat system like the Dark Souls games. And we were immediately sold, not knowing how much of this would affect the future of the brand. In my defense, I was just excited for the fact that Assassin's Creed was back again and would play almost anything they put out at that point, cause admittingly, I missed AC. I enjoyed Origins on release and chose to ignore the fact that it lacked important elements that made Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed. Elements like social stealth, a smooth and fluid parkour system, dense cities and environments. Anyway, Origins came out and was a massive success, which implied Ubisoft to continue down this path. And then we got Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I remember watching the first ever announcement teaser released for this game, and it already gave off instant red flags. And it was so bizarre and funny, just a dude kicking off another dude from a ledge. Like, what the fuck was Ubisoft's marketing team smoking when they released this? Although I was still interested to see what it's about, the more I saw about Odyssey, the more worried and concerned I got, and I'm afraid all my assumptions turned out right at the end. It was a game with absolutely nothing to do with Assassins or Templars and just sold with the Assassin's Creed logo slapped on it. I genuinely thought this game would fail. Of course it would. There is no way people are gonna buy this, least of all the old fans. Unfortunately, I was wrong and Odyssey ended up selling 50% more than Origins. Not only that, it brought this new horde of casual fans, and this is where the fan base was completely split half and half. Now I can understand Ubisoft's position a little bit. They had both these fan bases to satisfy, which is a problem they brought upon themselves, to be honest. Should have given us that bike sequel. Anyway, I won't have personally minded if they favored the new fanbase over the OG fans and continued on making games like Odyssey, because deep down, I knew at that point that this franchise is fucked. When Assassin's Creed Valhalla was announced, I had some hope that all would be better again. Why wouldn't it be? This was the same team that brought us bangers like Black Flag and Origins. We also had Darby McDev and Ashraf Ismail working on this game. Yes, I do agree the marketing for Valhalla was god awful, with little to no references to Assassins and just epic Viking raids shown over and over again. But I still didn't let those things bother me. I had faith in the team. All was good until the sexual harassment allegations came out, and Ashraf Ismail and a few other senior position employees at Ubisoft were outed. After this, all my hype for the game took a nosedive. Although I was still interested, as it was good to see Darren McDevitt talk in interviews, ensuring us old fans that this is a return to form for Assassin's Creed, and he doubled down on the fact that this was as much a Viking game as it was an Assassin's Creed game. They also brought back social stealth, an element that I missed the most from the previous two games, and also introduced two new hidden ones, Basim and Hytham, along with old hidden ones bureaus you can explore and the return of assassination contracts. So that kept me hooked. Even though nearly 90% of the marketing was just endless Viking raids and mythological bosses and whatever else Odyssey had. I was very conflicted towards the game, and when it came out, playing through it, I realized this was all just a big lie. The assassin stuff was just kept for cheap fan service and iconography, as the majority of the story had nothing to do with all that, and it lies more towards the mythological side of things. Although there were some cool notes about the assassins, or the hidden ones as they were called, and the overall lore that were put together on the side by Darby, but still, you could only find them if you go out of your way to do so. This was supposed to be the main focus of the game. This is what Assassin's Creed should be. Valhalla was bogged down by way too much filler content, and only about 10% of the game you do assassin stuff, which honestly was pointless near the end. I get that Ubisoft with this game tried to satisfy everyone, only to realize that to satisfy everyone, you satisfy no one. As I was left disappointed along with the other OG fans that were sidelined, I was done with it all. What's worse is that Valhalla ended up selling the most copies in the overall Assassin's Creed franchise. So of course Ubisoft will be inclined to continue making these RPG games in the future. Not only did I not enjoy the new RPG games, but I despise them for doing something truly heinous and sinister that most notable companies like EA are notorious for. the use of microtransactions. These new RPG games, mainly Odyssey and Valhalla, are designed in such a way that it almost encourages you to buy these microtransactions. It is not needed to complete the games, of course, but without them, players need to go through endless grinding of mind-numbingly boring fetch quests and filler arcs that add nothing to the main story and just aren't interesting enough side stories in my opinion. So even after spending more than 30 to 40 hours in the game, it would seem like you haven't made enough progress in the game at all. Now don't get me wrong, I don't mind playing longer 60-70 hour games. I mean hell, I literally played Persona 5 Royal last year and that game is over 100 hours long. But what I'm saying is you have to make the overall content of the game engaging enough. Look at Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3. These are pretty darn long games, but you never grow tired or exhausted from them. They have really engrossing content to keep the player busy for that amount of time. It's not an artificially bloated mess like Valhalla. But as I was saying, after spending all that time and effort into the game, doing the same recycled quests over and over and over again, you realize that your character still hasn't leveled up with enough XP to do the next main quest. So what do? That time saver XP boost pack is staring you right at the face, pulling you in to buy it. Just a couple Helix credits and you can progress through a significant portion of the game without doing anything. Seriously, it's like a whore attracting customers. You like what you see, but after spending all those bucks and doing the deed, you only later come to regret it. With Odyssey, it was bad enough already, but with Valhalla, they literally added all that grind into the main story, which made it really difficult to progress through the story after the initial 20-30 hours or so. This is a really crappy design policy that Ubisoft has employed, to soak out all the money from their consumers, to pay them to speedrun the main game, to hide the fact that how awfully scummy and predatory their game design is. And it just doesn't end on time saver packs. No. We got gear and armor and weapon packs, some of the best looking ones in the game that have the best overall stats, just locked up behind a paywall. Meanwhile, the gear made available to you in the main game just aren't good enough to help you progress, hence incentivizing the consumers to spend more. This is absolutely ludicrous, as most of the best weapons in the old games were literally available to purchase with in-game money or unlocked through doing various side missions. This just goes to show how much Ubisoft are willing to beat the dead horse, even if it makes them a tiny fraction of money. And with no one to call them out on their unethical, shady business practices, they will without a doubt continue developing their games around microtransactions, which is really sad. Other big companies like EA, Bethesda, Activision get lots of shit for even adding a single loot box, while Ubisoft somehow always gets away with it. This must change. Now I know I have spent the last couple minutes ranting, but deep down, as much as I hate admitting it, the little AC fanboy inside of me still has some hope. With the announcement of Assassin's Creed Mirage as a game going back to the basics to please all old school AC fans, and with the new platform they've announced which is set to release much later called Infinity, now these things have sort of piqued my interest. Mainly because with Infinity they're trying to make certain games for a certain segment of the Assassin's Creed fanbase. So Codename Red is mainly meant to appeal to the fans of the RPG games, whilst Mirage is made to please the old fans, and Codename Hexe is meant to be something completely new and innovative with witch hunts and a very mystical setting. Each segment of the fanbase gets the game they want, instead of dumping everything in one game like Valhalla. Also, Infinity is meant to have its own content, which I'm guessing is the modern day stuff, which is not compulsory at all to do. Hence, people who weren't a fan of it wouldn't have to bother with it, and it wouldn't interfere with their experience whilst playing the game. This really looks like the best approach possible to please all of the fanbase. I know this still won't be anything like the good old days, as Assassin's Creed used to be an interconnected ongoing narrative, but at least it's good to see that they're trying to acknowledge criticism and not sidelining the old Assassin's Creed fanbase anymore. But I'm still very skeptical because as a fellow Assassin's Creed fan, we've been through quite a few highs and lows in the past. But let's wait it out and see what direction this franchise takes in the future. I'm still not willing to give Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt though, as their shady business practices and misconduct of employees needs to change. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, like and subscribe if you did. And yeah, it took a lot of time to make this video guys, that's why I haven't been uploading as much as of late. But yeah, this is the new type of content that I want to experiment with, like video gaming essays and stuff, which is why, I will take my time with them. I'll probably play a game, do a proper essay on it, and see what I enjoyed, what I did not enjoy, kind of like a review in a way, but it'll be like mainly towards, mainly towards older games, like, of course Assassin's Creed games, and any other like classic game or any other just popular game that used to be very popular and all. I'll still make reviews and essays based on new games as well, but it has to be a game that really interests me, because I'm not gonna play like a new COD game or a new FIFA game and do like a review or a video essay on it, because I really can't be bothered, but it has to be like a game that really interests me or something that I really want to talk about. And also, of course, if it's a game I'm really excited about or really interested in, I'll definitely cover news about it, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's what I think that I'm gonna do for the future of this channel. And yeah, I have a lot of content planned, but hopefully I should get them out on time. But yeah, this is what I want to do for the future of this channel. But any which ways, hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It was pretty hard to make. I had to put in a lot of hours, so please, if you guys appreciate my effort, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. But yeah, any which ways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon with another video. So yeah, bye.